Captain Jake Morrison stood at the window of the space station New Horizon, watching the massive alien ship approach Earth. The ship was 10 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. Its dark metal surface gleamed in the sunlight, and strange blue lights pulsed along its sides like a heartbeat. "Sir, they're requesting permission to dock," said Lieutenant Mike Torres from his control station. His voice shook slightly. Jake nodded and straightened his uniform. "Grant them permission. And tell diplomat Lisa Hayes to meet me at Docking Bay 7. The alien ship moved closer with smooth, silent grace. No visible engines, no exhaust trails, nothing that looked familiar to human eyes. It simply glided through space like it was swimming through water. Lisa Hayes arrived at the docking bay, wearing her best diplomatic uniform. She was Earth's top negotiator, chosen for this historic first contact. Her hands were steady, but Jake could see the worry in her eyes. "Any idea what they want?" she asked quietly. Jake shook his head. The message they sent was simple. They said they represent something called the Galactic Trade Confederation. They want to discuss Earth's future. The docking process was unlike anything the humans had seen. The alien ship didn't need docking clamps or airlocks. Instead, it created some kind of energy bridge that connected directly to their station. The air shimmered like heat waves, then solidified into a walkway. 3 figures walked across the energy bridge. They were tall and thin, with gray skin and large, dark eyes. They wore flowing robes that seemed to be made of liquid metal. The leader walked with the confidence of someone who owned the universe. "I am Ambassador Zekthar of the Vorthic Empire," the alien said in perfect English. His voice was cold and smooth. "I speak for the Galactic Trade Confederation." Jake stepped forward. "Welcome to New Horizon Station. I'm Captain Jake Morrison, and this is our diplomatic representative, Lisa Hayes." Zekthar barely glanced at them. Instead, he looked around the docking bay with obvious disgust. "How primitive," he said to his companion. "Look at this crude metal construction, and the artificial gravity is so weak." The second alien, who had introduced himself as Commander Veltar, laughed. "Did you see their propulsion systems? They still use chemical rockets and nuclear engines, like children playing with fire." Lisa's face reddened, but she kept her voice calm. "Perhaps we could move to a more comfortable meeting room to discuss why you're here." Zekthar waved his hand dismissively. "There is little to discuss. We have come to inform you that Earth has been selected for inclusion in the Confederation. You should feel honored. Most species are not given this opportunity." "What exactly does that mean?" Jake asked. "It means you will serve the Confederation as a protected species," Veltar explained with a condescending smile. "Your world will provide raw materials and labor. In return, we will protect you from the dangers of the galaxy." Jake and Lisa exchanged glances. This was not the friendly first contact they had hoped for. "And if we refuse?" Lisa asked carefully. Zekthar's expression didn't change. "Refusal is not an option. But let me show you why resistance would be foolish." He touched a device on his wrist, and suddenly every light on the space station flickered. The artificial gravity fluctuated, making everyone stumble. Communication systems crackled with static. "We have just demonstrated our ability to disable your technology from a distance," Zekthar said calmly. "Your orbital defense platforms are now offline. Your satellites are silent. Your primitive weapons cannot even target our ship." Jake felt his heart sink. Through the windows, he could see that the alien ship had been joined by others. 11 more massive vessels hung in space, around Earth like dark angels of death. "Your entire species could be eliminated in less than 1 of your hours," Veltar added. "But the Confederation prefers to rule rather than destroy. You'll be more useful as servants than as corpses." Lisa tried to maintain her diplomatic composure. Surely we can reach some kind of mutually beneficial agreement. Earth has much to offer as an equal partner. Both aliens burst into laughter that sounded like breaking glass. Equal partners? Jekthar wiped what might have been tears from his large eyes. You have not even achieved faster-than-light travel. Your most advanced weapons are nuclear explosives. Your computers are slower than our children's toys. We have studied your species for some time, Veltar continued. You are aggressive and unpredictable, but also weak and divided. Perfect qualities for a servant race. Jake's military training kicked in. How long have you been watching us? Long enough to know that. You pose no threat to the Confederation, Jekthar replied. Your governments cannot even agree on simple matters like climate control. How could you possibly organize resistance against a galactic power? The ambassador walked to the window and gestured at the alien fleet surrounding Earth. Each of those ships could destroy your entire planet. They represent the combined might of 17 different species, all united under Confederation rule. We are giving you 72 of your hours to accept our terms, Veltar announced. During that time, you may contact your leaders and explain the situation. We recommend you use this time wisely. Lisa made one last attempt at diplomacy. What assurances do we have that you'll honor your agreements? Jekthar turned back to them with something that might have been amusement. You have our word. The Confederation always keeps its promises to useful servants. And if we prove not useful, Jake asked, then you will be replaced, Jekthar said simply. There are many species in the galaxy. Earth is not unique. The two aliens walked back across their energy bridge without another word. Their ship moved away from the station and rejoined the fleet hanging over, Earth like a sword. Jake and Lisa stood in the empty docking bay, watching the alien vessels through the windows. Each ship was bigger than Earth's largest city. The message was clear. Resistance was impossible. We need to contact Earth Command immediately, Lisa said quietly. Jake nodded, but his mind was already racing. Something about the aliens' confidence bothered him. They were too sure of themselves, too dismissive of human capabilities. In his military experience, that kind of arrogance often led to mistakes. Yes, he agreed. But first, let's make sure we understand exactly what we're dealing with. Far below them, Earth continued its slow rotation, unaware that its fate hung in the balance. The blue and green planet looked peaceful and defenseless beneath the alien fleet, but appearances, Jake thought, could be deceiving. On the dark side of the moon, far from Earth's view, a secret facility hummed with activity. The base was built deep underground, hidden from satellites and telescopes. Even most Earth governments didn't know it existed. Dr. Ryan Cooper stood in the main control room, watching dozens of screens showing the alien fleet around Earth. His face was calm, but his hands moved quickly across the control panels. He had been preparing for this day for 15 years. The aliens are using standard intimidation tactics, he said to the woman beside him. They're trying to make us feel hopeless. Lieutenant Commander Amy Parker nodded. She was the military liaison for Project Nightfall, the most classified program in human history. Their psychological warfare is working. Earth Command is already talking about surrender. Good, Ryan said. Let them think we're beaten. The longer they believe that, the better our chances. Amy looked surprised. Good? Ryan, those ships could destroy every city on Earth. Could they? Ryan asked with a slight smile. Or is that just what they want us to believe? Before Amy could answer, the main door opened. Admiral Frank Stevens walked in, followed by a man in a black flight suit. The man was tall and confident, with the easy walk of someone who had spent years in dangerous situations. Dr. Cooper, Commander Parker, Admiral Stevens said. I want you to meet Captain Tony Blake. Ryan had heard of Blake. The man was a legend among military pilots, known for his ability to fly anything with wings or engines. More importantly, he was one of the few people who knew about Project Nightfall. "Captain Blake," Ryan said, shaking the man's hand. "How's your ship?" "The Ghost Runner is ready," Blake replied. "My crew has been training for this moment for 3 years. We can launch in 2 hours." Amy looked between them, confused. "I thought we were just observers." "Earth Command ordered us to monitor the situation, not engage." Admiral Stevens smiled grimly. "Earth Command doesn't know everything, Commander. Project Nightfall has been preparing for alien contact since 2010. We knew this day would come." "Show her," Ryan said. The Admiral touched a control, and the room's lights dimmed. A massive holographic display appeared in the center of the room, showing a detailed image of a sleek, black spacecraft. "The U.E.'s Ghost Runner," Admiral Stevens announced. "The most advanced ship humanity has ever built." Amy stared at the hologram. The ship was beautiful in a deadly way, with smooth curves and no visible weapons. It looked like it was made of liquid shadow. "It's completely invisible," Ryan explained. "We've developed metamaterial technology that bends electromagnetic radiation around the ship. No radar, no thermal scanners, no gravitational detectors can find it." "How is that possible?" Amy asked. 15 years of research," Ryan said. "We started with stealth technology from military aircraft, then pushed it further. The ship can bend light, radio waves, even gravity signatures around itself." Captain Blake stepped forward. "We've tested it against every detection system on Earth, satellites, ground-based radar, even experimental quantum sensors. Nothing can see us when we don't want to be seen." "The aliens are using similar principles in their own technology," Ryan continued. "But they're using brute force methods. Our approach is more elegant." Amy studied the hologram. "What about weapons?" "That's where it gets interesting," Admiral Stevens said. "Show her the dark energy cannons." The hologram changed, revealing the internal structure of the ship. Amy could see strange, crystalline devices where traditional weapons would be. "We've learned to harness dark energy," Ryan explained. "It's the force that's expanding the universe. When focused properly, it can disrupt any known form of matter or energy, including alien shields," Blake added. "We've been analyzing their technology since they arrived. Their defensive systems are powerful, but they have weaknesses." Amy felt overwhelmed. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since we first detected signals from other civilizations," Admiral Stevens said. "We knew that first contact might not be friendly, so we prepared." "The Ghost Runner isn't our only surprise," Ryan said. "We've built 12 stealth ships each, one invisible and armed with dark energy weapons. They're positioned around the solar system, waiting." "Waiting for what?" Amy asked. "For the aliens to make their mistake," Blake said. "They think they know everything about us, but we've been hiding our true capabilities." The holographic display changed again, showing the alien fleet around Earth. Red indicators appeared on each ship, marking weak points in their defenses. "We've been studying their technology for the past day," Ryan said. "Their shields operate on specific frequencies. If we can hit them with the right electromagnetic pulse, we can disable their entire fleet." "You're talking about attacking ships that could destroy Earth," Amy said. "We're talking about defending Earth," Admiral Stevens corrected. "Those aliens came here expecting to find primitives. Instead, they found humans." Blake walked to the window that looked out over the lunar surface. "My crew is ready. Maria Santos is the best pilot I've ever worked with. Kevin Lee can fix anything with moving parts. Nicole Brown can hit a target from 1,000 kilometers away." "What about the other ships?" Amy asked. "They're ready too," Admiral Stevens said. "Each one has a hand-picked crew. We've been training for this scenario for years. Ryan turned to a new display showing Earth's communication networks. The aliens have been broadcasting to Earth, showing off their power. They're trying to break our will to resist. Meanwhile, they're learning about our technology, Blake said. They think they're so advanced that they don't need to be careful. That's their weakness. Amy watched the displays showing the alien fleet. How do we know this will work? We don't, Admiral Stevens said honestly. But we know what happens. If we don't try, Earth becomes a slave world. The aliens are giving us 72 hours to surrender, Ryan said. We're going to use that time to position ourselves for the surprise of their lives. Blake checked his watch. My crew is already aboard the Ghost Runner. We'll launch in 1 hour and move into position near the alien fleet. How close can you get? Amy asked. Close enough to count the rivets on their hulls, Blake said with a grin. They'll never know we're there. The room fell silent as everyone considered what they were about to attempt. 12 invisible ships against a fleet that could destroy planets. The odds were impossible, but they were the only chance Earth had. There's one more thing, Ryan said quietly. Lisa Hayes, our diplomat aboard the alien flagship. She's been placing quantum transmitters throughout their ship. How? Amy asked. She volunteered, Admiral Stevens said. She knows the risks, but she also knows that we need intelligence from inside their fleet. Blake nodded approvingly. Brave woman. Her information will help us coordinate our attack. It's not an attack, Ryan corrected. It's a demonstration. We're going to show them that humanity is not as helpless as they think. The holographic display changed one final time, showing the phase of the moon and the position of the alien fleet. Everything was aligned perfectly. In 18 hours, Admiral Stevens announced, the aliens will learn that they made a serious mistake when they decided to underestimate humanity. Blake saluted and turned to leave. Time to go to work. The Ghost Runner is ready to show these aliens what human ingenuity can accomplish. As the captain left, Amy looked at the remaining displays. The alien fleet hung over Earth like a dark cloud, confident in their superiority. But hidden in the shadows, humanity's secret weapons were moving into position. They think they know us, Ryan said quietly. They think we're just another primitive species to be conquered. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The Ghost Runner moved through space like a whisper of darkness. Captain Tony Blake sat in the pilot's seat, watching the alien fleet grow larger on his screens. The ship was completely invisible, its metamaterial hull bending light and energy. Around it like water around a stone. Distance to the alien flagship? He asked quietly. Maria Santos, his co-pilot, checked her instruments. 2 kilometers in closing. We're passing right through their outer sensor grid. Blake smiled. The alien sensors were scanning the area constantly, but they found nothing. Advanced technology meant nothing when you were looking for something. That wasn't there. Kevin, how are our systems? He asked the engineer. Kevin Lee looked up from his control panel. All systems running perfectly. The stealth field is stable, and the dark energy cannons are charged and ready. Nicole, what's the status on the alien defenses? Nicole Brown, the tactical officer, studied her displays. Their shields are operating at full power. Weapon systems are active, but not targeting anything specific. They're confident, Captain. Maybe too confident. Blake nodded. Confidence was good. Confident enemies made mistakes. Through the main viewer, he could see the alien flagship clearly. The ship was massive, easily 2 kilometers long, with strange spires and energy conduits running along its hull. It looked like something from a nightmare, but Blake had seen worse things in his career. Maria, take us closer. I want to see what these aliens are really made of. The Ghost Runner glided silently toward the flagship. They passed so close to the alien hull that Blake could see details in the metal, strange symbols and patterns that meant nothing to human eyes. "Captain," Kevin said, "I'm detecting some kind of energy signature from their main engines. It's not like anything in our databases." "Record everything," Blake ordered. "Dr. Cooper will want to analyze their technology." Meanwhile, aboard the alien flagship, Ambassador Zekthar stood in the command center, watching Earth turn slowly beneath them. The planet looked peaceful and defenseless, exactly as he had expected. "Any word from the human governments?" he asked Commander Veltar. "They are discussing surrender terms," Veltar replied. "Several of their major nations have already expressed willingness to accept Confederation rule." Zekthar smiled coldly. "Predictable. Humans always choose survival over pride. It makes them useful servants." "What about their military forces?" asked Admiral Korthax, the fleet commander. "Pathetic," Zekthar said dismissively. "We disabled their orbital defenses with a simple electromagnetic pulse. Their weapons could not even scratch our shields." Unknown to the aliens, Lisa Hayes was listening to every word. She had been moved to guest quarters near the command center, but the quantum transmitters she had placed were picking up all their communications. The tiny devices were completely invisible to alien sensors, designed by human engineers who understood stealth better than anyone. Lisa activated her hidden communicator. "This is Hayes. The aliens are planning to begin their final demonstration in 6 hours. They're going to destroy some of our military bases to prove their power." The message was transmitted instantly to the Project Nightfall facility on the moon. Dr. Ryan Cooper received it and immediately forwarded it to all the stealth ships positioned around the solar system. "All ghost units," he transmitted on the encrypted channel. "The aliens are beginning their final phase. Prepare for Operation Nightfall." One by one, the invisible ships acknowledged the message. 12 advanced vessels moved into position around the alien fleet. Completely undetected back on Earth, the alien demonstration began. Energy beams lanced down from the Confederation ships, striking military bases that had been evacuated hours before. The explosions were visible from orbit, bright flashes of light that could be seen across entire continents. "Impressive," Blake said, watching the destruction from his hidden position. "But they're only hitting empty buildings." "How do they know?" Nicole asked. "Because we told them," Blake replied. "Every base they're targeting was abandoned yesterday. We're letting them waste their energy on empty targets." The alien fleet spread out over Earth, each ship taking position above a different continent. Their formation was perfect for intimidation, but terrible for defense. The ships were spread too far apart to support each other effectively. "They're making this too easy," Maria observed. Any military academy student could see the flaws in their positioning. "That's what happens when you get overconfident," Blake said. "They think they're so superior that they don't need to follow basic tactical principles." Admiral Korthax's voice echoed across the communication channels. "Humans of Earth, you have seen our power. Your military bases lie in ruins. Your orbital defenses are disabled. You have 4 hours to announce your surrender, or we will begin destroying your cities." Blake felt his anger rise. These aliens were threatening millions of innocent people. "All units, report status." "Ghost 2 in position," came the first reply. "Ghost 3 ready. Ghost 4 standing by." One by one, all 12 ships confirmed. They were in position. The alien fleet was surrounded by invisible predators, and they had no idea. "Dr. Cooper," Blake transmitted to the moon base. "We're in position. The aliens are exactly where we want them." "Confirmed, Ghost Leader. All units are to wait for the final signal. We need to coordinate this perfectly." Blake studied the alien formation one more time. The flagship was in the center, surrounded by the other ships in a protective circle. It was a standard formation, but it had one critical weakness. All the ships were focused outward, watching for threats from Earth or space. None of them were watching for threats that were already inside their formation. "Captain," Kevin said, "I'm detecting some kind of energy buildup in the alien weapons. They're preparing for another demonstration." Blake watched his screens as the alien ships began charging their weapons. Energy signatures spiked across the electromagnetic spectrum. The aliens were preparing to destroy something big. "Lisa, Ken, you hear us?" he transmitted. "I'm here," came the reply. "They're targeting major cities now. New York, London, Tokyo. They want to kill millions of people to prove their point." Blake felt his jaw tighten. "Not if we can help it. All units," came Dr. Cooper's voice from the moon. "This is it. The aliens have shown their true nature. They're not here to rule. They're here to terrorize. Operation Nightfall is now active." Blake looked at his crew. Maria's hands were steady on the controls. Kevin was monitoring every system. Nicole had her weapons ready. They were about to attempt something that had never been tried before in human history. "Maria, take us to the flagship's weak point. Nicole, prepare to target their shield generators. Kevin, get ready to boost power to the stealth field." "Aye, Captain," came the unified response. The Ghost Runner moved silently through space, approaching the alien flagship from its blind spot. The massive ship loomed ahead of them, its hull covered in weapon ports and sensor arrays. None of them detected the small human vessel moving toward them. "Range to target?" Blake asked. 500 meters. Nicole replied. "I have a clear shot at their primary shield generator." Blake opened a channel to all the stealth ships. "All units, this is Ghost Leader. In 30 seconds, we're going to show these aliens what happens when you underestimate humanity." The seconds ticked by slowly. Blake could feel his heart beating. In his chest, everything humanity had worked for over the past 15 years came down to this moment. 10 seconds, he announced. The alien ships continued their preparations, completely unaware of the trap that surrounded them. 5 seconds. Blake looked at his crew one more time. They were ready. "All units," he said calmly. "Decloak and engage." The Ghost Runner shimmered into existence, like a nightmare materializing from nothing. One moment the space beside the alien flagship was empty. The next moment a sleek black warship hung there, its dark energy cannons already glowing with deadly light. Admiral Korthax stared at his screens in shock. "What is that? How did it get there?" "Unknown vessel appearing on sensors," his tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. "It's directly beside us. Our shields are down to 60%. "Impossible," Korthax snarled. "Nothing can penetrate our detection grid." But even as he spoke, more human ships appeared throughout the alien formation. They materialized from empty space like ghosts becoming solid, each one positioned perfectly to exploit weaknesses in the alien defenses. "Captain." Blake opened a communication channel to the alien flagship. His voice was calm and cold. "Admiral Korthax, this is Captain Tony Blake of the United Earth Stealth Fleet. You wanted to see what humans are capable of. Here's your demonstration." The Ghost Runner fired its first shot. A beam of pure dark energy lanced out and struck the flagship's primary shield generator. The alien device exploded in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Shields failing. The alien tactical officer screamed. "Primary generators are offline." Around the fleet, 11 more stealth ships opened fire simultaneously. Their dark energy weapons found their targets with perfect precision, striking shield generators, weapon systems, and engine components with surgical accuracy. "This is impossible," Commander Veltar said, his voice filled with panic. "Their weapons are disrupting our quantum field matrices." Blake watched with satisfaction as the alien ship's shields flickered and died. The mighty Confederation fleet, which had seemed invincible just minutes before, was now defenseless. How? Admiral Korf Ax demanded over the communication channel. How did you develop this technology? We've been preparing for this day for 15 years, Blake replied. While you were conquering primitives, we were learning to be invisible. The Ghost Runner moved around the alien flagship like a predator circling wounded prey. The massive alien ship tried to turn its weapons toward the human vessel, but Blake's ship was too fast and too maneuverable. Nicole, disable their main engines. Blake ordered, with pleasure, Captain. Another dark energy beam struck the flagship's propulsion system. The alien ship shuddered and began to drift helplessly in space. All units, report status. Blake transmitted to the other stealth ships. Ghost 2 here. Enemy ship disabled. Their weapon systems are offline. Ghost 3. Target neutralized. They're not going anywhere. Ghost 4. Mission accomplished. The aliens look really confused. One by one, the reports came in. The entire alien fleet had been disabled in less than 2 minutes. Ships that could destroy planets were now floating helplessly in space. Their crews in complete panic. Ambassador Ziegthar rushed to the flagship's bridge, his confident manner replaced by desperate fear. What is happening? How are these primitives doing this? The humans have technology we don't understand, Admiral Korthax said. Their ships appeared from nowhere. Our sensors never detected them. That's impossible, Ziegthar insisted. We have the most advanced detection systems in the galaxy. Blake's voice came over the communication system again. Ambassador Ziegthar, you called us primitives. You said we were amusing in our desperation. Are you still amused? Ziegthar looked. At the view screen, where the black human ship hovered just outside their bridge windows. He could see the weapon ports glowing with deadly energy, ready to fire at any moment. What do you want? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. We want you to understand something, Blake replied. You came here thinking you were dealing with another weak species. But you weren't dealing with just any species. You were dealing with humans. The Ghost Runner moved closer to the alien flagship, its hull reflecting the emergency lights from the disabled ship. To the aliens, it looked like death itself had come calling. Your mistake, Blake continued, was thinking that advanced technology means the same thing to everyone. You use brute force. You rely on size and power. But humans learn to be clever. Doctor. Ryan Cooper's voice joined the communication from the moon base. For centuries, humans have been the underdogs. We've survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have destroyed other species. We learned that survival isn't about being the strongest. It's about being the smartest. While you were building bigger ships and more powerful weapons, Blake added, we were learning to be invisible. We were learning to hide in plain sight. We were learning to make our enemies defeat themselves. Admiral Korf Ax tried to regain some dignity. You cannot defeat the entire Confederation. We have thousands of ships, millions of warriors. Do we need to defeat them? Blake asked. Or do we just need to prove that they're not as invincible as they think? The communication channel opened to include all the alien ships. Blake's voice carried clearly to every crew member in the fleet. This is Captain Blake, addressing the Galactic Trade Confederation fleet. Your ships are disabled. Your shields are down. Your weapons are offline. You are completely at our mercy. He paused to let that sink in before continuing. But we're not going to destroy you. Do you know why? Because we're not conquerors. We're defenders. We only fight when we have to. Ziegthar found his voice. What are your terms? Our terms are simple, Blake replied. You leave our solar system. You report to the Confederation that Earth is not available for conquest. And you remember that humans are not primitives. The Confederation will never accept this. Admiral Korthak said. They will send more ships. Blake laughed, and the sound was not pleasant. Let them come. We'll be ready. The Ghost Runner began to move away from the alien flagship, but its weapons remained trained on the disabled ship. You have 1 hour to repair your engines and leave, Blake announced. If you're still here after that, we'll assume you're planning another attack. We cannot repair our systems in 1 hour, Korthax protested. Then you'd better learn to work. Faster, Blake said coldly. Consider it a lesson in human efficiency. Lisa Hayes chose that moment to reveal herself. She had been hiding in the alien ship's communication center, using her quantum transmitters to coordinate with the human fleet. Ambassador Zekthar, she said, walking onto the bridge. I believe our negotiations are concluded. The alien stared at her in shock. You? You've been spying on us? I've been doing my job, Lisa replied calmly. My job is to protect Earth and its people. You made that very difficult with your threats and arrogance. How did you get those devices aboard our ship? Veltar demanded. Lisa smiled. While you were busy being superior, I was being careful. Humans are good at being careful. The alien crew looked at each other in confusion and fear. Everything they thought they knew about humans had been proven wrong in the span of a few minutes. Your hour starts now, Blake announced. I suggest you get to work. The Ghost Runner and its sister ships moved away from the alien fleet, but they remained visible. The message was clear. Humans were watching, and they were ready for anything as the aliens scrambled to repair their systems. Blake opened a private channel to his crew. Well done, everyone. We've just changed the course of human history. What happens now? Maria asked. Blake looked out at the stars, where other civilizations were probably watching and wondering what had just happened. Now we find out if the galaxy is ready to treat humans as equals instead of slaves. The alien fleet limped away from Earth, like wounded animals retreating from a fight they couldn't win. Their massive ships, which had seemed so powerful just hours before, now looked clumsy and desperate as they struggled to repair their damage. Systems. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizons station, watching the Confederation ships disappear into the darkness of space. Beside him, Lisa Hayes was finally back where she belonged, safe among her own people. It's really over? Jake asked, hardly believing what he had witnessed. This part is over, Lisa replied, but I think our real challenges are just beginning. She was right. Within hours of the alien fleet's departure, Earth's communication networks were buzzing with messages from across the galaxy. Species that had never contacted humans before were suddenly very interested in talking. Dr. Ryan Cooper stood in the Project Nightfall Command Center, reading the incoming messages with a mixture of excitement and worry. We're getting contact requests from 17 different civilizations, he reported to Admiral Stevens. Some of them are asking for help. Help with what? Admiral Stevens asked. Overthrowing the Confederation, Ryan replied. It seems our little demonstration has inspired a lot of oppressed species. Meanwhile, Captain Tony Blake was docking the Ghost Runner at a newly constructed facility in Earth orbit. The stealth ship program was no longer secret. The world's governments had decided that humanity needed to be ready for whatever came next. How does it feel to be a hero? Maria Santos asked as they powered down the ship's systems. Blake laughed. I don't feel like a hero. I feel like someone who did his job. You did more than your job, Nicole Brown said. You saved Earth. We all saved Earth, Blake corrected. And now we need to figure out how to keep it safe. The answer came from an unexpected source. Ambassador Zekthar, instead of returning to the Confederation capital, had requested a private meeting with Earth's leaders. The alien who had been so arrogant and dismissive was now asking for help. The meeting took place aboard the New Horizons station, in the same room where the aliens had first delivered their ultimatum. But this time, the dynamic was completely different. Zekthar sat across from Jake Morrison, Lisa Hayes, and Admiral Stevens. The alien looked tired and defeated, nothing like the confident conqueror who had arrived just days before. "The Confederation is finished," Zekthar said quietly. "Word of your victory has spread throughout the galaxy. Dozens of species are rebelling against Confederation rule. Is that why you're here?" Lisa asked. "To ask us to help restore order?" Zekthar looked surprised. "No, I'm here to ask you to help us build something better." Jake leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "The Confederation ruled through fear and intimidation," Zekthar explained. "But you've proven that brute force isn't the only path to power. Your species has shown us that intelligence and preparation can defeat any enemy." Admiral Stevens studied the alien carefully. "What exactly are you proposing?" "A new alliance," Zekthar said. "Not based on conquest, but on cooperation. Many species are tired of being ruled by fear. They want to join together as equals." Lisa exchanged glances with Jake. This was not what they had expected. "Why should we trust you?" Jake asked. "A few days ago, you were threatening to destroy our cities." Zekthar looked down at his hands. "Because I've learned something about humans that I didn't know before. You could have destroyed our fleet, but you didn't. You could have killed us all, but you chose mercy instead. Mercy has to be earned," Admiral Stevens said firmly. "Then let me earn it," Zekthar replied. "Let me help you build something better than the Confederation ever was." The negotiations took weeks. Representatives from dozens of species came to Earth, all wanting to be part of this new alliance. The humans found themselves in the unusual position of being the leaders of a galactic coalition. Dr. Ryan Cooper was put in charge of sharing Earth's stealth technology with allied species. But he was careful about what he shared and with whom. "Trust is something that has to be built slowly," he explained to Captain Blake during one of their planning sessions. "We'll share our defensive technologies, but the really advanced stuff stays secret for now." Blake nodded. "Smart thinking. We need to make sure we can still defend ourselves if this alliance falls apart." The Ghost Runner and its sister ships became the core of the new alliance's defense force. Other species contributed their own technologies and expertise, but the human stealth ships remained the most feared weapons in the galaxy. 6 months after the alien fleet's defeat, Admiral Stevens stood before the United Nations General Assembly to address the world. The assembly hall was packed with representatives from every nation on Earth, and the speech was being broadcast to billions of people. "Ladies and gentlemen," Stevens began, "6 months ago, we faced the greatest threat in human history. An alien confederation came to Earth expecting to find another primitive species to exploit." He paused, looking out at the sea of faces. "Instead, they found humans. They found a species that had learned to survive against impossible odds. They found a people who refused to give up, no matter how outmatched they seemed." The audience was completely silent, hanging on every word. "Today, I'm proud to announce that Earth is not just a member of the galactic community. We are leaders in it. The new Galactic Alliance now includes 47 different species, all working together as equals." The applause was thunderous, but Stevens wasn't finished. "But we must never forget the lesson we learned during those dark days. The universe is a dangerous place, filled with those who would prey on the weak. We must remain strong, not to conquer others, but to protect ourselves and our allies." In orbit above Earth, Captain Blake stood on the bridge of the Ghost Runner, now the flagship of the Alliance fleet. Through the viewports, he could see ships from dozens of different worlds, all working together to patrol the solar system. "It's incredible," Maria said, watching a graceful alien vessel glide past their position. 6 months ago, we were alone. Now we're part of something bigger than we ever imagined. Just remember, Blake said, we earned our place here. We didn't. Get it because we were lucky or because someone felt sorry for us. We got it because we proved we belonged. Nicole looked up from her tactical station. Captain, we're receiving a message from the Outer Patrol. 3 unidentified ships approaching the system. Blake smiled. Well, let's go see who our new visitors are. Ghost Runner to all Alliance ships. We have unknown contacts entering the system. All units to ready status. The response was immediate. Ships from a dozen different species moved into defensive positions, their weapons powered and shields raised. But at the center of the formation, invisible to all sensors, the Ghost Runner waited like a hidden guardian. Unknown vessels, Blake. Transmitted. This is Captain Tony Blake of the new Galactic Alliance Defense Force. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. The reply came quickly. This is the Hegemony War Fleet. We demand immediate surrender of this system and all its inhabitants. Blake looked at his crew and grinned. Well, it looks like someone didn't get the message about what happens when you threaten humans. He opened a channel to the Alliance fleet. All ships, prepare for combat operations. And remember, we're not the same species these hegemony bullies are used to dealing with. The alien war fleet moved confidently toward Earth, their massive ships bristling with weapons. They had probably conquered dozens of worlds using the same intimidation tactics the Confederation had tried. But as they entered the outer solar system, something strange happened. Ships began appearing from nowhere, materializing out of empty space like spirits of vengeance. The human stealth fleet had grown since the Confederation's defeat, and now included 30 invisible warships. This is impossible, the Hegemony commander transmitted. Our sensors show nothing. Blake's voice came back, calm and confident. That's because you're dealing with humans. We specialize in impossible things. The Hegemony fleet tried to retreat, but it was too late. They were surrounded by invisible enemies, just as the Confederation had been. Within minutes, their ships were disabled and drifting helplessly in space. I don't understand, the Hegemony commander said. How did you develop this technology? The same way we develop everything, Blake replied. Through hard work, determination, and the absolute refusal to give up. It's what makes us human. As the defeated Hegemony fleet limped away from Earth, word spread throughout the galaxy once again. Humanity and its allies were not to be underestimated. A species that had once seemed primitive and weak were now the protectors of peace and freedom. Dr. Cooper stood in his laboratory, working on the next generation of stealth technology. The universe was vast and dangerous, and there would always be new threats to face. But he wasn't worried. Humans had proven something important during those first days of alien contact. They had shown that being underestimated was sometimes the greatest advantage of all. Let them come, he said quietly, looking out at the stars. We'll be ready. And in the darkness of space, invisible ships patrolled silently, crewed by humans who had learned that the best way to keep the peace was to be prepared for war. Galaxy had learned to respect humanity, not through conquest or intimidation, but through the simple demonstration that humans were never quite what they seemed to be.